and welcome to another edition of Problematic Women, a show that showcases strong conservative women, current events, and the hypocrisy of the so-called feminist movement. My name is Kelsey Harkness. I am a senior news producer here with the Daily Signal, and today I am joined in studio by Bree Payton, a writer for The Federalist and frequent contributor to Fox News. Bree, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome to the show again, actually, because Bree was just with us last week, but we had so much fun we decided to bring her back. So today we have 5 very fun segments for you. The first is called What That Happened. The second is called Real America. The third is called Real or Fake News, where we ask Bree to guess which headlines are real or fake. The fourth, we will be crowning our Problematic Woman of the Week, as we do on every show, and we will top it off with a little Sunday Funday video. To get us started, we are changing actually the name of our first segment, That Happened, to What Happened, in light of Hillary Clinton's new book. We'll roll a clip for you first.
Here's a question. Are you sick of hearing about Russia? Well, guess what? Hillary Clinton isn't. She's writing a whole book about it. According to her publisher, it's called What Happened, and it will, quote, connect the dots about Russian interference in the election and describe what it was like to run against an unorthodox candidate. This comes just days after Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer told the Washington Post, quote, when you lose to somebody who has a 40% popularity, you don't blame other things, you blame yourself.
So, Bree, my first question for you is, how do you pronounce this title? Is it What Happened or What Happened?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the punctuation is rather vague in this book. And by vague, I mean, I don't know why this is a title, because, you know, it is very clear what happened to Hillary Clinton, right? And she doesn't really need to write a tell-all memoir about it. It's clear that her message didn't resonate with a lot of people. She had a very extreme agenda in a lot of issues, particularly social issues. And like to pretend that all women agreed with her and she spoke for every woman, when in fact she really didn't, right? Because overwhelmingly the white middle-class conservative, or I shouldn't say conservative, but white middle-class woman that everyone thought was going to vote for her ended up overwhelmingly voting for Donald Trump. So I think it is very clear that the message that she had in a lot of ways just really didn't resonate with women, right? I mean, she wanted to keep abortion legal up until moments before birth. She wanted zero limits on that. And most women think that abortion should be limited to at least the first trimester. Most overwhelmingly support the Hyde Amendment, which prohibits federal taxpayer dollars from funding abortions. And these are things that she vehemently disagreed with and made it her stump speech on every college campus that she spoke to when she spoke to young women.
So in this book, Hillary Clinton claims that she's sort of letting her true, genuine self out, and that she couldn't really be herself on the campaign trail, which I find highly ironic, because if you're running for president, particularly as the first female president to make it as far as she did, you would think she would be a little more genuine, and maybe had she had been, she would have stood a chance.
Yeah, I also find... So you're also right. And I think a lot of that explanation has been fueled by, you know, her cries of sexism, which also annoys me. Yeah, you are, you know, the first woman to have been nominated by a major party and run for president in this way. But at the same, and obviously there's going to be significant struggles and hurdles, but at the same time, I've become really annoyed at the Clintons, you know, beating this drum even after the election and saying, you know, oh, Russia's so-called interference in the election is because Putin is totally sexist. You know, I find that argument to be very reductive and rather insulting, and, you know, just assumes that women and voters and Americans are stupid.
Well, it's interesting because I think a lot of Republicans and even many Democrats now are ready to turn the page on the Hillary Clinton long chapter in the history book, and yet she's sort of prolonging it by writing this tell-all, but I think she does want to have a final say, so I'm sure this book is going to make a big splash when it comes out, and maybe then we'll know how you're supposed to pronounce the title. But moving on to our next segment, this is called Real America, where we bring you real stories happening across the country, not so much DC-centric. And for this particular one, we're going to roll a clip from WTOL in Toledo.
Tonight, a Toledo mother speaking out with a warning for parents. She claims her daughter died from Depo-Provera, the birth control she was prescribed. She tells her story to Sarah Oler so other parents won't experience such a heartbreaking loss. It's a story you'll see only on WTOL 11.
And I had to pick her up, and I just thought she was just sick, had a virus or something. Still, I had no idea it was Depo-Provera.
Rochelle Russell says she lives every day with the pain of watching her 21-year-old daughter Brianna die with no idea what was happening to her.
I blame myself. I went through therapy with it. I should have possibly researched it more.
She says her daughter died from severe cranial pressure and brain bleeds, something she says was caused by Depo-Provera, a shot given every 3 months for birth control.
She started Depo-Provera at the age of 14, and she took it consistently until she was 19.
The FDA warning for Depo-Provera states it should not be taken for more than 2 years. But Rochelle says Brianna's doctors continued to prescribe it for 5 years, with no warning given of side effects other than weight gain. Brianna started having severe headaches shortly after starting the shots. One night, she had one that was very severe.
And she was mumbling something or another, and I just thought she was sick and had a virus, and I got her to sleep. And baby's dad came home, and he went in the room and he said, call 911.
A list of side effects include blood clots, strokes, and seizures. Now Russell has joined a class action lawsuit with other families who claim Depo-Provera resulted in serious health problems or death. She says parents and every woman needs to look more closely at side effects to any birth control.
You need to do your own research, behind any drug that any doctor prescribes you. You must do your own research.
Reporting tonight in Toledo, Sarah Oler, WTOL 11.
So Bree, this story is heartbreaking, and it really grinds my gears as a woman because first off, I do not believe these types of news stories get a lot of attention because they're very inconvenient to the left narrative that it's just trying to hand out birth control like it's candy. And second off, I don't think they get much attention because people don't really know that there are risks involved taking birth control because they do, in a way, treat it like candy. But this is not the first time we've heard of women dying from taking birth control. And we also know women get side effects such as depression from taking birth control. Why do you think this is such an underreported issue, and what should we do about it?
Yeah, well, I think it's underreported for precisely the reason that you said, that it is kind of an inconvenient narrative and does go against a lot of the narrative that we do get from the left and from feminists. Planned Parenthood recently started to roll out this new initiative where they're going to deliver or make birth control available like via a phone app where someone doesn't even have to go into a doctor's office, right? They kind of list their height and weight and different other medical things and maybe talk to someone in like a Q&A chat box, and then they get birth control mailed to them. And, every single female-centric website like Bustle, Refinery 29, Jezebel, et cetera, aggregated this story as like a win for women in rural areas or teen girls who maybe don't want to talk to their parents about it. But the reality is that birth control is a serious medication. There are a lot of side effects, although it is very rare for a story like this to happen. I mean, I think it's less than like 1% of women develop clots with this particular medication, although
it's the shot. We want to be clear.
Right, yes. The injection that one receives. So I think it is extremely low, but at the same time, I think even though the risk is low, everyone should be aware of it, right? And I think that if you are prone to this, and in this case, it sounds like her doctor really was negligent and prescribing it to her for 5 years when you're only supposed to take it for 2, I think that's really the most shocking part of the story.
Exactly. So I actually recently saw a study that said girls and women on average only talk to their doctors and spend 15 minutes making the decision about whether or not to go on birth control and what kind. But the reality is birth control does have a lot of side effects. Now, hopefully, I think we know most side effects are not as dangerous as blood clots. But there was a huge study that came out that was published in JAMA, and it showed this huge link between depression and birth control, and particularly depression and birth control if you are a teenager. And so these studies that keep coming out, I just can't help but wonder, Why is it taking so long for these studies to come out when birth control is so prevalent?
Yeah. Well, I think it's for two reasons. One, that we're women, and I don't know, maybe the medical community just doesn't think that our lives matter as much or that this is as significant. And two, I think that it's inconvenient for men a lot of times. Historically, abortion and birth control and that whole movement surrounding those two things has been propelled by men, right? A lot of them helped win over the landmark Roe v. Wade case and were instrumental in implementing that law that now makes abortion legal in all 50 states. So I think what that oftentimes gets underlooked or ignored, that men are propelling this, that men like this because it's convenient for them, and that a lot of men just really aren't willing to stand up and be men and own up to their responsibilities. And I think that, they're just quick to erase any mistakes or any potential for mistakes, and by which I mean a pregnancy.
Well, our hearts really do go out for that family. It is such a sad story, and we hope that all the women out there are just encouraging young women who are going on birth control for the first time to make educated and informed decisions. So, Bree, moving on to a little bit more of a lighthearted segment here, we have Real or Fake News, and this is a segment where we pull some crazy news headlines from this past week and mix in a few that we made up to see whether you can tell them fact from fiction. All right, we encourage all of you watching right now to play along as we get going. The first headline is, liberal activists recommend a 13th grade to accommodate environmental and gender studies. Real or fake?
Man, I think that's real. I'm going to guess real.
So we actually made that one up. Got you. So last time Bree was on, she almost got all of them correct. So we tried to make these ones a little more difficult. So that one is fake. The second headline, what research says about cats? They're selfish, unfeeling, environmentally harmful creatures.
Okay, so there have been studies that indicate that cats, I think, don't like to be pet and other things. So I could believe that some parts of this could be true.
So that is true. That was a headline from our friends over at Vox. 1-1. We'll see if you come out on top.
Always the cat truthers.
Article number 3. Spokane, Washington proposes free tampons for all citizens despite their biological sex.
Okay, so I think that this is probably true because I think it was in Seattle, they started handing out tampons to everyone regardless of their sex in public restrooms. So I could believe, since Spokane is right next door, this could be kind of extended there.
So that actually was the source of some of our inspiration for this, but we actually made this one up. It's fake. Giving you a hard time this segment. Article number 4. A Marxist group disbands because members were too rich and white.
That just sounds too perfect. I'm going to guess fake.
That's actually true, and it's from
gosh.
Campus Reform. This is a real article on Campus Reform. We encourage you all to go look it up. This is real news, people. All right, article number 5. Chris Christie signs the bill requiring New Jersey schools to use preferred pronouns for transgender kids.
I really should know if this one is real or fake.
This is Republican Governor
Yeah,
Chris
I know.
Christie.
I've stopped paying attention to him. So I'm going to guess fake.
True from us here at the Daily
gosh.
Signal. Chris Christie really did that, which really raises some free speech issues, but moving on. Article number 6, Rhode Island College offers a transracial bodies course. Transracial bodies course.
I'm going to guess false.
So believe it or not,
Oh my
this
gosh.
is true.
I'm struggling.
So
I'm on the struggle bus.
This was from Campus Reform, and this was just so ridiculous. I actually had to pull a clip of what this course is offering. So this is, quote, blackness, whiteness, Asianness, Latinness, the whole rainbow of racial identification is still construed as biologically inescapable and inevitable. The description of the course reads, noting that often negative reaction to transracialism is contrary to the everyday experience that actually finds racial identification as a process that is always transracial. So I don't even know if you can comprehend what I just said, but I will say we often see that antics on college campuses often make their way into the political scene. So I would brace yourself because that could be what is next. All right, but moving on, our next segment, we need to crown our Problematic Woman of the Week. And this week's Problematic Woman of the Week is Catherine Timpf. Catherine is a writer over at National Review, but she recently got a big promotion, an awesome gig over at Fox News. So shout out to Kat for that. And Kat had a rough week. So she's problematic. She actually wrote an article about this experience she had. She lives in New York City. She works at Fox News. And Brie and I are just going to let Kat say it in her own words. We're going to read a little bit about what she said in this article. So the headline of this article, "So we're just whipping water into journalists' faces now." She wrote this at the National Review. "No one should be targeted for an attack because of their views, regardless of what those views are. Last night, I went to speak at a campaign event for a nonpartisan friend of mine who is running for local office, but unfortunately, he was unable to do so after a complete stranger came in with the clear sole purpose of attacking me.
I was standing in the crowd and waiting for my turn to speak when a man walked in and tapped me on the shoulder. I turned, and then without saying a single word, he started dumping an entire bottle of water on my head. Then, as I was standing there completely stunned, he made eye contact with me, lifted the bottle, and whipped the rest of it into my face and my eyes before walking out.
A few people sort of tried to chase him as he was leaving, but he ultimately got away. I was completely soaked, my eyes were burning, and I was obviously upset. I went to the bathroom to wash my eyes out and gather myself, but by the time I was done, my time to speak had passed.
Some people might think I'm overthinking this. It's just water. But this wasn't some random drunk guy. This was a targeted attack. I know this because I saw the security footage while I was filing a police report. He walked into the venue confidently, saw me, did it, and left. He knew I would be speaking there. I was the reason he was there. That was the reason he was there, to prevent me from speaking.
As someone with views all over the partisan spectrum, I really have no way of knowing what this man's views are or how my own views may have made him so angry. I work at Fox News, which in it and of itself has been enough to make some liberal people hate me. I have been critical of President Trump and other Republican politicians, which in and of itself has been enough for some conservative people to hate me.
When it comes to your right to exist in public without being attacked, your views shouldn't matter anyway. No one, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Socialist, person who made a joke about Star Wars, should have to feel unsafe and or wear a full rain suit indoors in public. The entire thing was recorded on security cameras, and I have pictures from that footage on my phone right now.
My first inclination was to release it, and then I realized that not only may I not want to glorify him with that publicity, but there are also certainly plenty of people out there who hate me and would enjoy watching that being done to me, and I'm not sure I want to give them that satisfaction. I haven't decided for sure either way.
What I do know, however, is this. If I have to hesitate to release footage of a crime being committed against me because I know it would likely give other people satisfaction to see it, then we definitely have a problem with the way we're viewing and treating one another. We need to do better, and it needs to start now.
So, what do you think of this? When I first heard this, I thought this was fake news. She did not actually get water dumped on her for working at Fox News and for her views, which she does criticize President Trump, and she is at times, advocating for conservative policies, but she's a huge advocate for free speech. I mean, I have a big appreciation for her because she does speak out about her beliefs, whatever those beliefs are.
Yeah, I mean, I think this incident is pretty shocking in that the person...
Or is it?
I mean, the person, in the way she described it, he went in, he targeted her, and then did this to her. I mean, that's really creepy, right? That takes Twitter trolls to a totally new level, and it's unfortunate.
It definitely was a targeted attack. So, Kat, we are sorry to crown you Problematic Woman of the Week, but I hope you know that we do think very highly of you, and we actually think it's an honor to be a crowned Problematic Woman. So keep at it. We love seeing you out there. But that wraps it up for today. Brie, thank you so much for joining us once again. It is always fun to have you. For anyone interested in following your work, how can they do so?
You can follow me on Twitter at Brie_Payton, and you can read all of my work over at thefederalist.com.
And I'm Kelsey Harkness. We're going to leave you with a lighthearted Sunday Fun Day video where we kind of encourage you to get out the tissues. This video was a few minutes long, but if you have the time, we really encourage you to make it to the end because this video is really civil society and God's grace all wrapped into one incredibly inspiring story. So we will leave you with that, and we hope you all have a wonderful Sunday.
So I'm gonna read something to you, okay? Okay. Are you videoing her?
Yep, got it.
Okay. All right. A few weeks ago, our circumstances felt out of control, but God reminded us He is in control when you showed up. We wanted to share our story with friends and family, and we want to read you what we shared. Okay. So we first thing we started was with a Bible verse, and it says, "Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some people have entertained angels without knowing." That's what we felt like. And that's Hebrews 13:2.
Y'all want me to cry again?
Don't cry. Okay, so here's what we typed. We said, "While we are immensely grateful for all the nursing care provided to my mom during her illness, there was one nursing aide in particular that touched our hearts. Tunde provided gentle love and kindness to Judy, sweet words of prayer when we needed them most, and a connection that only divine intervention could orchestrate. We quickly realized that she was our guardian angel. During one of Tunde's shifts with my mom, she shared a story about an encounter with a stranger back in 2014. She told us how she had run out of gas, was walking to a gas station with only $5 in her pocket. A young man circled back to help her. Young, good-looking man circled back. He picked her up, filled her gas can, and gave her what he had in his wallet. Following Tunde's story, Judy's son Chris was stunned. He then informed Tunde that those listening that the young man in her story was him. Tears were shed, God was praised, because we don't believe in coincidence. We knew at that moment that God had woven every fiber of this story together. The encounter that had blessed them both 3 years ago came full circle when the Lord appointed Tunde to show up on our doorstep to care for Judy. In the following days, we learned more about Tunde, her family, and her dreams. Her mother is a local pastor, and Tunde recently gave the Easter message at church where she spoke of her encounter with a stranger. She loves the Lord and incorporates God's love in the care she gives each family she helps. In my mom's final days, nurses were amazed at how hard she fought to stay alive. 5 days before she passed, Tunde had pulled me aside on the front porch of her home. She informed me that the Holy Spirit had revealed to her that Judy would pass on her birthday, and that's exactly what happened. Tunde rushed to the house shortly after she passed, still in her birthday celebration attire. We cried, we laughed, we rejoiced in a God that is bigger than our own circumstances. He was in the midst all along. Chris had entertained an angel 3 years ago, and Tunde completed her mission from beginning to end. It would be an understatement to describe Tunde as amazing. She exudes joy, lives every breath to serve people as she was designed to do by our Heavenly Father. She is a nursing aide struggling to cover educational costs and fulfill her dream of becoming a nurse. We would love to surprise and bless her in Judy's honor. So in lieu of flowers, we're asking friends and loved ones to donate to Tunde's education so she can continue to fulfill her calling. To know her is to love her, and we are all in awe of how God worked so miraculously for our paths to cross again when we needed her the most.
This lady gets better.
Yeah, it gets even better.
Wait, can I get a break right now?
No, what's going on?
So Tunde, you have a gift. A lot of people believe in you and want to see you become a nurse. This won't cover all your school's expenses, but it's a wonderful start. This was raised for you in less than 1 week, and we want to close the site, but more people still want to give. So here's a start.
Open it, Tunde. Oh, Lord! Oh, Lord! Lord, you're so good to me! Oh, my God! Y'all, that ain't mine!
Yes, it is. So within what? Carmen, within 1 hour.
Are you kidding me? Lord have mercy. Oh my God! Oh Lord! Oh Lord! Thank you, Lord have mercy. Y'all don't know. I was worried. I was so worried. Lord, I'm a pay for my school. This wasn't no accident. I came over your car. I just felt so sorry for you because you were trying so hard. And I said, well, maybe I just tell him. And I didn't, oh my God. Oh my God. She came around that night and said, you remember that man that helped me? And I said, yeah, I remember. And she said, that's my patient. I said, what?
Hey, God comes full circle, doesn't he? He sure does.
No, I don't know what this.
You don't need to say anything. We love you and we believe in you.
That's right.
You got a gift, girl.
That's right.
You got a gift.
Oh,
Use it.
oh my God.
We love you.
I'm overwhelmed.